Hi everyone, I'm Anna. We're here with Christina and Michelle from CCDA, and we're very excited to put together a small tutorial video for you guys just outlining the LIS Toolkit. For those of you who aren't familiar, for the sixth year now, we're hosting LIS, Locked in Solidarity. It's a week-long event to raise awareness about action that should be taken against mass incarceration throughout our nation. So we have some really interesting resources here for you guys that we'd love to share with you about how you can participate and get involved in your community with LIS. Michelle, take it away.
All right, well, the CCDA family, it's great to be able to share the resources that we've created for Locked in Solidarity this year. I'm especially grateful to Anna and Christina for all their hard work to get the website and to get our toolkit up. And so we're just going to walk through the toolkit to explain a little bit on how you can use it, how you can host a Locked in Solidarity event. Just the idea, and I'm going to ask Christina just to share this screen with us so that we can see the Locked in Solidarity Toolkit. You can find that on our website, and we'll show you where that is in a little bit. But just to kind of give you a little history for those of you who might be new to CCDA and Locked in Solidarity, we have three systemic issues that we work on in advocacy here at CCDA, and one of them is immigration reform, another is education equity, and then the third is mass incarceration, criminal justice reform. And so knowing that injustice doesn't fix itself and that the justice journey is long, we wanted to really put our stake in the ground around mass incarceration. So back in 2014, we set up Locked in Solidarity, knowing that if we did this every year, we would do two things. One, we would be able to create space to share stories of people who are impacted, to really get the word out, to really raise awareness of the impact of our broken criminal justice system, but also not only would it be something that we would push outward, but it would help us as a community inwardly to hold ourselves accountable. Time goes by so quickly, and if we're not actively working on things, all of a sudden the months can go by and we didn't do anything. So we put Locked in Solidarity every year just to give us an opportunity to look forward to what we wanted to plan for the next year and to look back and see how far we've come. And so one of the ways that we are trying to help our association do effective Locked in Solidarity events is to provide a toolkit. And a toolkit is not the rule book, it's just a guide. And if it's something that is helpful for you, we invite you to look at this toolkit. You can obviously look at the ones from the years past, but really to help guide you as you look into how you want to plan your Locked in Solidarity event. So the first, it's a very long toolkit, so we're going to scroll a little quickly, maybe not in the beginning, but as we get through the meat of it, and you can check it out on our website. But there are general guidelines to our Locked in Solidarity. And one of them is that we want everybody to register their event online. Last year, we had 65 events. I'm going to ask Christina to share the map of last year. So and also tell us a little bit about the map and how to sign up for a Locked in Solidarity event.
So in our toolkit, you can conveniently click this link here and it'll take you directly to our Locked in Solidarity page, where on the top you'll find our event registration form here. And so you just fill it out with your information and then about what your organization is going to do or wants to do. You don't have to have everything nailed down. We just like to know if it's something that you're interested in doing. Submit it, and then we will send you a confirmation email and also let you know about maybe some resources or keep you updated with things nationally that we can help you to make your event successful. And then you can continue scrolling down, and there's resources on the page, some webinars from past years, the toolkit, a preaching guide, and some really amazing videos about families that were incarcerated that the Marshall Project did that could be helpful to use during one of your LIS events. And then on the bottom here, you'll see our Locked in Solidarity map. And the yellow ones will show you, the yellow place markers are the 2018 events that happened. And so if you go ahead and click one, for instance, in North Carolina, we had a lot of events going on there. You can see here that it'll tell you what the organization was, where it's located, and then maybe this specifically was a flyer that Shaw University sent to us. And we can click on that and see what events are going on there. That was true for all of the events last year with Locked in Solidarity. And we have started to update the ones in blue for 2019. That are, a lot of them are still in the process of planning, but have information about what they're planning to do for this year's Locked in Solidarity.
There were so many events last year. It's amazing.
I know, it was so good. Our first year we had, I think, 7, and it hasn't like doubled every year, but it feels like it's doubled. I think it was like over 65 events. You know, one thing, Christina, I wanted to have you share is when people fill out, like in Denver, they had, I think, 5 different events last year. And when you fill it out, do you fill out the Google form for just one event, or do you put all your events, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can fill it out you just fill out the form once, and you can put in your multiple events, and then it should show up here. A lot of times it'll show up as a flyer of some sort, if that's what you have, or I can include it. I think a lot of the Denver ones had flyers with them.
Yeah.
Or you'll have your Facebook event. But yeah, you're able to see all of the events that happened.
That's great. Well, what I'd like to do is kind of go back to the toolkit and just walk through a little bit more of where we're at. Thanks so much, Christina. So what we want to make sure that we're doing is, you know, advocacy and organizing justice work isn't supposed to be done in private. So we wanted to do it in a public way. And so I want to encourage you to hold your event in a public venue, some type of community center. I know we've done it outside of court and jail locations. I know back years ago in Michigan, there was actually a march around a particular jail. There have been events with youth groups and police officers. There's really, the sky is the limit, but just making sure that we recognize that we want to do things in a public place. And so I encourage you to do that. What Locked in Solidarity is designed to do is really to tell the stories of how people are being impacted by incarceration. And so whether it is, you know, a student whose parent is incarcerated or who has been incarcerated themselves, or someone who has been formerly incarcerated, or a spouse of someone who is currently incarcerated, we really want to give people an opportunity to share their stories. We at CCDA believe that those who are closest to the pain are the voices that we should be listening to. And so Locked in Solidarity needs to have an element that would really be listening and posturing ourselves to listen to those who are directly impacted by that. Another thing is we'll go ahead and just scroll a little bit through. You obviously can read the toolkit. You don't need me to read it to you, but I want to talk through the items of the toolkit. And as you can see, it's a pretty long toolkit, and that's just because we wanted to make sure you had as many resources as possible. And so the next section, that event support section, is 12 pages, and it's filled with sample flyers and schedules and agendas. And one of the things it has is a sample template for public officials. And so when I say we want to make it public, we want to invite people, and civic leaders and elected officials have a huge impact on the public policies that keep mass incarceration in place. And so we don't want to just do this and not let them know. I mean, we really want to invite them. So you certainly don't have to use this particular letter, but I just wanted to offer it as a guide, especially if it's new to you, on how to invite elected officials to your event. I don't know if, Anna, you want to talk about direct tweeting. I know that's something that I've done with elected officials, you know, for events, but that's another way to invite them.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, any of the things that you're doing for LIS should be shared publicly, like Michelle said, and one of the best, most accessible ways to do that with your entire digital network, and sometimes outside of your network if things get shared around, is through social media. So if you head over, Christina, to our Twitter tab, we have a little example for you. If you want to tweet the toolkit out, if you want to tweet an experience about the event that you just hosted, or if you'd simply like to invite people to your event, you can either invite specific people by tagging them. We tagged I am CCDA with a little @ symbol. That directly takes people to our Twitter handle at CCDA. You can replace CCDA's Twitter handle with an elected official's Twitter handle, your church or nonprofit's Twitter handle, and that's going to rope them into the conversation so that anyone who follows them will also see the news that you've shared. You can share.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, later in the time, Anna's going to talk about using social media. And one of the things that I found really successful is to get reporters' attention, you can directly tweet at reporters as well to let them know the events are coming so that they might be interested in coming.
Oh yeah, we're trying to get into all the newspapers, all the publications. So yeah, we could talk more about that later.
Sounds great. Well, good. Well, you can, like I said, you can see those 10 pages of flyers and agendas. You know, we also have a sign-up sheet that we would love for you to use. I mean, we really want people to keep in touch with other people. We're trying to grow a movement, and we're trying to build on the movement that we began 6 years ago. And so signing up, having a sign-up sheet and enabling people to stay in touch with people locally who are interested in learning more and engaging more deeply is really important. And the next section has to do with a preaching guide. At first, we started Locked in Solidarity. It was just one day. And it just really, we could tell that as we were growing as an association, the need to do it for a longer period of time, to recognize that Sunday is a time that many of us gather and really want to speak about it in our churches, pastors preaching about it in their pulpits, as well as doing activities throughout the week. So we moved from one day to the second week of February, the entire week, and it starts on a Sunday because we really believe that issues of injustice need to be shaped from a theological lens. And so one major part of the toolkit is our Locked in Solidarity preaching guide, and we're grateful for those who have contributed to that preaching guide, and it'll hopefully spark some thoughts, especially for pastors in their own preaching, but also for any of us as Christian leaders. It's really important for us to frame the issue of criminal justice and mass incarceration from a theological lens, because we truly believe that God is the one who restores, and we want to be a part of that, join God in his redemptive message. From the preaching guide, we've got a prayer guide that we've used for years. Sojourners has been a good partner of CCDA, and they developed it years ago. And once again, it's just really more of a guide if you would like to use it, or just start to create something of your own. And I guess I would interject this: if you have created anything, we want to see it. As you can see, those flyers are not ones that we created, but really our practitioners have created and we've been able to use. So whatever you are creating, please share it with us afterwards so that we can share it with our association. Our association exists to inspire and train and connect each other to the really good kingdom transformation work we're doing in our communities, and we learn best from each other. So just want to encourage you to share your resources, and they may end up in a future toolkit.
Yeah, and our association has about like 16,000 people. Last year we sent a lot of regional blasts to people to let them know what was happening in their area. So we highly encourage any regional flyers you have to send our way, and we can send those to the people on our association.
That's so good. That's so good. Absolutely. So in the years past, we have tried to use film to help our association in their actual events. And at one point, we had partnered with Live Free with Michael McBride out in Oakland and Urban Entry, and created a video that is available in our store and on our website. And then also we've partnered with, and you ladies, you may need to help me. I'm trying to remember the Rikers film last year, I think it was. And then I think, Christina, you mentioned Marshall Project is another group that we've been partnering with. So we know that film is a part of helping educate people. And this year we are partnering with AJ Ali, who created the documentary Walking While Black. And in the toolkit, you obviously can see the trailer, and then there's several pages of just a toolkit that they've created alongside us that you can use. And there's definitely some cost involved. If it's a small gathering, there's a smaller cost. If it's a larger gathering, it is a large cost. But really, the rights to this film are thousands of dollars. And we're really grateful for Walking While Black and AJ Ali and his willingness to give it to us at a lower cost. And so that is definitely an option. If you read through, you can see how you can get access to that film. Another thing AJ Ali said is he would be willing, if not Locked in Solidarity, but be willing to share his story and travel for just a love offering. And so that's something you may want to consider. The details are in that toolkit. So the next piece is probably one of my favorites, which is utilizing LIS as an advocacy tool. There are so many different ways that we can promote the change that we want to see, but building relationships with the power powerful people who have the power to change and reverse the impacts is really key. And so we want to make sure that in our learning and growing and sharing our voices alongside each other, that we take those voices and move them to the public square and to really do some direct advocacy. And so there's just several pages of how to use Locked in Solidarity as an advocacy tool, how to set up meetings, how to really engage your legislators. And it's really important for us to do that, to recognize that injustice doesn't just happen and it doesn't fix itself, that we need to intentionally redistribute. We need to intentionally undo the harmful effects of our criminal justice reform through trying to change legislation and rules and laws. So one of the things, and I'll just have you stay on this page right here, Christina, is there are two, go ahead and go back to that one page where it talks about there's two different organizations that I really, they're kind of the go-to places for me personally when I want to see what's happening at a state level. So the way our country is, we've got federal government, we've got state government, we've got local government. Most of the impacts of the mass incarceration phenomena is at the state and the local level. And so you want to join, and also we don't want to work in a silo. It's great to be connected with other CCDA leaders, but there are important collaborations that are happening in our communities, in our states, with other agencies and nonprofits and that are working to reverse these effects. And so if you want to find out what's happening in criminal justice reform in your community, learn and get connected, the two places that I would suggest have to do with the Sentencing Project and the ACLU's 50-state blueprint. And there's hyperlinks in we don't have to go there now, but there's hyperlinks in our toolkit that will send you to your state, and you can see what is happening and begin to reach out and help build coalitions. I just can't express how important it is for you to get your voices, to get your stories out there. So don't hesitate to reach out, to try to build coalitions, and to tell people who have the authority to undo the harmful effects of mass incarceration, and to tell them what you're doing and how they can help join you in reversing its effects. In the toolkit, we also have legislative victories. There's a lot of things happening with criminal justice reform, and I listed just a few. There's so many more than even we had to sort of choose, but some really great things are happening. We want to keep the momentum going. So I wanted to share some of the things that were happening in 2017 and 2018. One big conversation nationally that's happening at the state and local levels is around bail reform. And so I had one of our amazing CCDA interns, Grace, work on a cash bail reform memo for us to just learn more things, to have additional resources, and to get educated on how we can help in that aspect of mass incarceration. When you do advocacy visits, usually you go in and we've got instructions on how to hold a legislative meeting, but often you'll bring in fact sheets or information about the group that you're at. And so what we did was we created some leave behind material. So in addition to how do you contact your congressional leaders, how do you do the meeting, we also created leave behind material so that you could say we're a part of CCDA. We have our local organization or church or independent relationships, but we also are part of a bigger movement, and people all around the country are meeting with legislators and meeting with local officials to share about CCDA, to share about the ending mass incarceration together. And so we wanted to give you some leave behind materials. So what I'll go ahead and do is turn it over to Anna as our communications coordinator here at CCDA, and she can talk to us about how to utilize Locked in Solidarity as a media tool.
Sure, thanks, Michelle. So part of planning a successful LIS event is making sure that there's some media surrounding that, so that details about your event have a far enough reach so that they can reach people not only in your immediate networks, but also on your entire digital network. So one of the best ways to do that is to create a Facebook event with the details of your LIS event that people can share, to make sure that regionally your Locked in Solidarity event is getting attention. Another way is to use the Locked in Solidarity hashtag. That will connect it to all the other posts that are tagged with Locked in Solidarity, so people can see just how big this movement is reaching across the nation. So we're using two hashtags this year, Locked in Solidarity, or LIS 2019, which you'll find in the toolkit. So anytime you're sharing photos, videos, or any thoughts about your LIS event, please use this so other people can follow along with what you're doing. Also, it's a great thing to invite press to your events. they want to know about what you're doing, even if they weren't there. You can send them an op-ed piece or a reflection about your time together. And it's also good to prepare a few community members with just something that they might say to the press about why they're hosting events, how mass incarceration has impacted them personally, and a bit about their story. So preparation definitely helps get your message across. It can be a little scary at times to talk to the press, but with enough practice, your voice will definitely be heard. So also reach out to us at the email here listed if you have any questions about anything in the toolkit or how to post on social media.
And I would encourage you also to reach out to all three of us. So only my email is on there, but we are your Locked in Solidarity CCDA staff team with Christina and Anna and myself, and all of our emails are just our name at ccda.org, and we want to help you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Hopefully you'll find our website with all the resources there. We've got some upcoming webinars that'll be a part of Locked in Solidarity, the toolkit, and other things to really support a successful Locked in Solidarity event. Thank you so much for watching our tutorial, and thanks for joining us with LIS this year.